Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At first, I would like to thank very much our host to invite us and to organize such a presentation and such a debate. I believe that the ITS deployment needs the involvement of many stakeholders, and the proof is in the room. I mean, we are all coming from different sectors, and I believe these debates are very useful to have a better understanding of all our targets and all our challenges. I have chosen to demonstrate or to try to convince everybody in the room that electrification of vehicles needs ITS if there is any need to be convinced. Why? At first, let's remind you that electrical vehicle is the right answer from the automotive industry to CO2 and oil challenges. It's clearly the automotive industry is clearly a part of the problem, so it has to be a part of the solution. CO2 positive output of electrification is clearly doesn't need to be demonstrated anymore. We know that we can divide by two or three the amount of CO2 emissions. We are now on the way to demonstrate that there could be a business model, relevant, sustainable business model with electric cars. It's of course depending on at first on the incentives to launch the market, but we are completely convinced that the running costs are lower with electricity than with oil. Even now, if I want to be more accurate, let's take in mind. Let's keep in mind that it's achievable when we drive 12,000 kilometers per year, which is roughly the average of all the European drivers. And why this is now achievable? It is achievable because the technologies, mainly the battery technologies, have made a huge improvement in terms of energy density. But when we have said that, we just are forgetting the main problem to launch the market is to convince that the drivers that when they are using a car with 150 or 200 kilometers of autonomy, they could achieve, they could end their trip. And there is a kind of reassurance, there is a kind of organization to reassure, there is a need for organization to reassure the customer that this is achievable. And this is the good way to drive in our urban areas. And then we have to think about the ITS technologies, ICT, telematics, internet, website, whatever. We have to think about these technologies to help the electrification, the vehicle electrification, to be accepted by the customers. And well, this is on the way. I don't want to make any advertisement on the Renault lineup, but I just want to convince you, because I could have chosen some competitors, other car manufacturers' slide. We are all working on electric cars. Don't misunderstand. No, I would say don't worry for the urban mobility. We are working on electric cars. And I just like to show that our first cars are going to be launched on March 2011. That means it is within 1 year. It's a very short time. So I want to go back to the ITS technologies involvement in this deployment, electrification cars, vehicle deployment. Let's take an individual use case, and I believe that it's the best way to address those kind of problems is to start from the use case coming from the customer, coming from the user, coming from the drivers. Well, let's imagine that a guy is going back home, and he has 30 kilometers to run, to drive. And let's imagine that the autonomy of this vehicle is 40 kilometers, and let's imagine that there are good indications of this autonomy. This is for average conditions. But this very day, it's very hot. So the air conditioner is fully on, fully operating, and there will be some kind of congestion, unusual congestion, or worst congestion. How can be sure that he will be home at the right time without any, well, hazard? And what does the driver need then? Accurate real-time traffic information. We all share that this is a very good way to improve the mobility in the urban areas. But for electrification cars, for electric cars, it's required. Otherwise, if we are spending well, I don't say 2 hours, but sometimes it could be even 1 hour in congestion, then it could be difficult to have the right autonomy. I mean, to have all the energy needed to end the trip. We have, of course, to have a good assessment of this autonomy. We are all thinking about eco-driving, and okay, it's going to be a good solution to save CO2, to reduce CO2 emissions. But for electric cars, it's mandatory. We will have to manage the energy. So I think that with current cars, we have about 800 kilometers of autonomy. With electric cars, we will have 150, 200 kilometers. Sometimes it's just the range of the red zone in on the thermal traditional car, classical car. We need also, of course, charging spot, available charging spot, and we need some organization to let the driver know where are available charging spots, and to be sure that when he will reach this charging spot, this is still available. That means we have some booking facilities, some booking functions to be organized. And of course, then when the charging spot has been identified, he needs guidance, but clever guidance, to be able to reach this charging pole, this charging spot. So the electric vehicle drivers needs ITS, but all the stakeholders who will be involved in this business needs also ITS. Why? Well, let's go through. I need to be 2 minutes, or I have to speed up a little bit. But I think we all share this kind of statements. Electrical vehicle autonomy, well, driving advices, guidance, RTTI, real-time traffic informations, navigations, all these functionalities are required to allow, to allow the customer to end the trip, but also to have him completely feeling confident in the overall solution. I am speaking about cars, but electric cars doesn't work. Doesn't operate if they are not electrical grid, electric energy, electricity supply, the right supply for cars, not for home, not for plants, but for mobiles. Something which is all running on the roads, and so we need to invent this electricity supply, and we need to have a clear and very clever electricity management. So that's optimized transfer from cars, of electricity and data from the network, from the electricity grid to the cars. We need also website communication. We can go into detail furtherward. We need smart metering and forecast of the capabilities to operate the grid networks. Of course, we need integration of renewable electricity into the grid. Otherwise, we all know the figures about the mix, the electricity mix in terms of CO2 consumption if we are not using renewable electricity. And last but not least, billing and accounting. We are all convinced that we will need new business models, but those business models will rely on new billing facilities and new accounting facilities, and even sometimes new regulations. In France, the only operator with a law to sell electricity is a utility supplier. Another operator is not a law. So we have to think about that. That means that Total, for instance, an oil company cannot sell electricity. Cheaper and greener urban mobility services based on EV. We are all thinking about car sharing and carpooling, but with this is clearly better optimizations with EV due to zero emissions, due to low running costs, and due to investment shared investment. Well, I can develop that afterwards. Last minute? Oh, thank you. The challenge is I have not to speak too fast, and I have only 10 minutes, it's difficult.
Yeah, your battery is going to blow also.
Well, I cannot avoid this slide, because this is I think we all share this. This is the needs for relevant legislative disposal for ITS and for ITS for EV. Standardization, absolutely mandatory. We cannot accept to have different charging spots, charging plugs for different cars, for different operators. That's clear. We need interoperability. That's clear also. A driver running a Renault car in France or in Germany should find exactly the same capabilities and the same facilities. Otherwise, with 150 kilometers of autonomy, it could be very difficult to convince him that the whole organization is reliable. And we need consistent and balanced involvement from public and private sectors. At the moment, all the industries, and I know you are all convinced about that, and you are all aware, all the industry are investing huge amount of money in developing electric cars. Not only OEMs, not only automotive industry, but telecom, service suppliers, service operators, battery industry. Huge companies are investing a huge amount of money in battery development. I don't know the exact figure about that, but just think about the number of engineers working now on electric cars. So we are investing a lot. So we are waiting to be very much supported by all the other stakeholders. Okay.